but we didn't know about well-being 30, 40 years ago.
I mean, 5 years ago. Yeah.
You didn't know about that, but I do know. I know choir rehearsals and youth clubs and those things were a form of escapism for a lot of people growing up in that generation. But it was a safe space.
Yeah.
That parents knew that, oh, such and such has gone to youth club, is at church, or they've gone to choir practice. So they didn't have, but that person that was attending that event found that as a safe space and being around their community. So we cannot underplay the importance of choirs.
Affinity Xtra, be extra.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are personal and do not necessarily represent the views of Affinity Xtra.
People, this is your boy here, Roger Moore here, and Affinity Xtra, celebrating gospel music of black origin, and this is how we do it. I'm alongside a guest, a colleague, a friend, a pal, in the trenches dude, here in the sunny town of Birmingham. We have got Ray Prince alongside me on the Edge show today. I'm going to go into the whole intro vibe in a second, but Ray, how you doing, my bro?
Oh, good, thanks. How are you?
Mate, you know what I mean? I can be better, and I can be better, but you know what? I give God the glory. And because guys, we're on the Edge show here, so we know we're going to keep 100. So I am not going to do no preaching. This creative world, you know what I'm saying? Faking it has been the problem of all elements of the industry. Everyone sees a persona on stage, but they don't realize the drive and what it takes. And this is what we do on the Edge show. We're looking at the drive, looking at the edge, we're looking at the true stories of us creatives, because we see one thing and don't realize what we're doing in the background and whatsoever. So, so we look at these fancy performances, and it's great. Now, just to bring anybody into it now, anybody who's known YouTube, we got quite a few hits on a video that we put out a few years back. We won't talk about too much about videos, but we and a video, a real cool video that everybody's like, yo, and you know what? Let me confess, people, that video audio is so sweet that we use it on the radio station. So because it is so real cool, and you know what, people are still quite happy with it, but we used it, and it's a beautiful sound, it had beautiful singers on it, and there was an amazing project which GRP did, Gospel Revisited project, which we was part of the production company, GR360 Productions, as well as we did a bit of coverage from Affinity Xtra standpoint, where we went there and we saw this amazing outfit really celebrate the heritage of gospel music. Now, Ray, now we saw you do with the last two performances with a big orchestra, with a band, and it was with a few young ladies on the front, and it was fantastic. You guys loved it. What I love, people, I have to say, if you think that this is an old people thing, I've brought young people continually to GRP events over the past, I don't want to make it sound too old, but coming up to a decade now, a couple of years, I forget, decade now, you know what I'm saying? And every single young person says, you know what, I didn't think I liked this, but it's actually quite good. So as you parents are holding back on your Andrea Crouch albums just because the children we're saying to back it out, you know what I'm saying, they're gonna love great music. But Ray, I must admit, up to this tone, there's been vocally a certain amount of singers, a certain vibe of singers now, you know what I mean? Now this one, now I've cheated people and I've been at rehearsals and I've seen some things, yeah. But this one is the question I'm asked by people when I'm saying you're coming, and everyone's going, what's the set going to be like? That's the question. They're going, is it going to be a similar vibe? And I says, the whole thing has been scrapped and start again from fresh. Rebuilt, coming hardcore. What is new? What is essence? And what was the reason why I've just changed the vibe? Now, what's the key difference with this one compared to what you've done so far?
Well, first of all, thanks for the opportunity to share about GRP, Gospel Revisited Projects. You and I have been working on this for years, and I'm really pleased with the journey that and the relationship we're starting to develop, which is very, very important for our community to see
100%.
individuals working closely together and respecting one another and respecting their craft. And I appreciate you for that. So, I'd like to make that a public announcement. However, GRP, I always like to have an educational link to it. And I love choirs. That's where I kind of honed my my love for playing. I played for a lot of choirs when I was younger. And I have noticed over the last few years, there's been a diminish of choirs. So on my to-do list, I thought to myself, I would love to be able to put on a choir. One, to reignite many from my generation who hadn't or had stopped singing for whatever reason. May it be for not attending church anymore, work and life commitments, for whatever reason. Try and reach out to people who had the love of singing from when I was growing up in the late 70s, early 80s. And also just to reignite the passion of choirs, excuse me, the passion of choirs, and to bring about that feeling I used to have when I used to attend choir practice at my local church, which was Spark Hill Church God of Prophecy at the time. When my brothers used to play, late Trevor Prince and Glenn, used to bring in Les Burns. So being in there, watching them guys play for the choirs was amazing. And then eventually Trevor started to bring me around, and I started to play for mass choir, Church God of Prophecy mass choir, which was like in its heyday, 400 strong. I played for them in my early teens, and that experience alone kind of just really ignited a love and a passion for choirs. I just love choirs. Small Heath Church of God of Prophecy choir was another choir I loved playing with. And I think it's just the voices when they come together, the sections, and covering some of the great American choirs that we were exposed to at the time, like Milton Brunson, James Cleveland, to name but a few. And I enjoyed it.
Yeah, you mentioned about, and I think when we look, I think, God bless Kurt Franklin, but he did change the numbers of people in choirs because he came with this new sound which really made people go, do I need so many people? And Radical for Christ and with Fred Hammond, we kind of changed our perspective in terms of numbers on the stage. But, I think when you mentioned about 400 people in a choir, that's a skill set to arrange as a choir conductor. You guys, you're not just orchestrating people on the day itself and doing rehearsals. You're actually managing 400 lives, you know what I'm saying? And you're making sure people, and that's before texting, before WhatsApp groups, before visuals, that people were dedicated to this art. For 400 people to turn up and you say there's rehearsal, you let the local churches know, the leads or whatever they're still, and they bring their people to that rehearsal before WhatsApp, before mobile phones, before all that technology, before anything technology wise, apart from the old phone where you used to go yo, that was long, you know what I mean? So when you was doing that, 400 people turning up, I think that's just an amazing feat of a generation to organize like that. And I think that that's something that we've missed. And I have to really recognize 400 people playing for 400 people. It must have been absolutely crazy. But you mentioned Small Eve and you mentioned with the bands and so on. Was there any key now I grew up we grew up, it was always from Americans. It was Milton Brunson, and it was Orlando Draper and this choir. There was there's Ben Tenkard and his choir. So was the conductors now were there legendary conductors when you was coming up? Yeah, you had to that was coming through, but maybe not got the kudos like the Americans have got. Would you say that to range 400 people, bro? You have to be a not only a conductor but like almost like a musical pastor.
Well, like I said, when I started playing out with Trevor, and I was playing with Small East Choir. It's the late Marcia Dennis who kind of conducted the Small Leaf Choir. Amazing. She introduced me to some music, and for the life of me, the name slips me. The choir. Oh, what was that choir? What was that choir? James Cleveland.
Is it Timothy something?
No, there was a choir. Thomas Whitfield.
Thomas. Okay.
Thomas
Whitfield. All right. It's like this, like that.
Claudia just whispered it to me, so I'll give her.
Okay. So
Thomas Whitfield. We she introduced me. Well, the choir introduced me to that style of music, and then there was the Hawkins, which is the Love of Life era. So that was the late Joel Smith, Andre Gucci. So that music was readily available. But your question was about choir leaders. So it was lovely to serve under Marcia. I also had the privilege of serving under late Joy Watson, and I played with Aberdeen Street Choir under her leadership. I played with Mass Choir under her leadership as well. And they you got to understand, they would have gleaned their knowledge of choir directing probably from the American artist Maximus Clark springs to mind. But you got to realize what you were saying there. We didn't have, videos were, not everybody had a video. We didn't have DVDs, we didn't have YouTube. So they would have had to have studied them by listening to a tape and visualize how they're conducting the choirs. And then when you would go to concerts, people would take up different ideas from different choir leaders and create their own style of leading. But it would obviously back then it would be American heavy. But in order to get X amount of people to sing and to use a word to control it, you had to have direction and have some kind of idea of leading people and the harmonies. Because a lot of the people that led choirs, they weren't musically trained, So this still, as we always allude to, was honed in churches, and there was gifted people that could hear things and go, all right, I'll focus on that part, which was tenor. I'll focus on that part, which is alto. I'll focus on that part, which is soprano. So many of these people would do that. So I came up under those choir leaders, which still gave me a love for choirs. And the choirs that were coming out, again, was the music that accompanied the choirs was just as good as anything you was listening to secular.
It was straight, because the thing is, we looked into if you guys would check out the Black History podcast that we do with Kevin Tomlin, and we're studying the likes of the trail of West Coast. Now, West Coast to me is a rap thing, East versus West, and that's all I know. And it was basically the war of the East versus West Coast. I didn't realize the West Coast is actually a sound, like when it comes to gospel, a sound that transformed which I didn't realize was so influential on my sound in the UK, my personal impression. So from Andrew Crouch to the Hawkins, now the Hawkins created a problem here. Now, people always point to Andrew Crouch quicker than the Hawkins, but if you really realize that Hawkins subconsciously, bro, I think they trump Crouch with the impact because of Oh Happy Day, Oh Happy Day, Oh Happy Day. That song You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, Andrew Crouch is foundational, and he's working with top secular producers. He's working with artists that are sessioning with the top bands at the time, everywhere and whatever. They're enjoying this process. But you're thinking to yourself, the Hawkins, imagine that Love Alive album, yeah? Now,
Andre Crouch, though,
go on.
He was the one that opened the door and kept
100%.
it open.
Yeah.
You know, so we I wouldn't probably use the word Trump.
Okay, cool.
Hawkins trumped Andre Crouch. I hear what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Hawkins, the likes of the Hawkins, the Winans are indebted to Crouch because of took the music outside of the four walls, and he made it accessible to the wider community. And with that, he was still amazing, because alongside the Hawkins had their own sound, which was amazing, and they're still fresh today. But he still Crouch had his own sound. Yet there's LA. They're all from that side.
Yeah.
Winans, which are more Detroit.
Yes. Yeah.
Upstate, which is New York Community Gospel Choir, which probably was around about that same time. Different sound. But Crouch was, you know, when we're talking about the late, you know, Thomas Dorsey in the 30s that came up through, and the Flower Awards and all of those people that came through them, the James Cleveland, Crouch was the one that changed that scene, just like Kurt Franklin
changed the scene. Yeah.
For a new generation, you know, give honor where honor is due.
Yeah.
But Crouch, for me, is the guy that he was the game changer when we're talking about the sound of gospel and making it accessible to other cultures. You got to realize that there was an issue. I know it's not about this topic, but the race music issue.
Yes,
you know,
yes,
he was one of those that crossed over and brought it to Europe along with Danny Bell, which you're familiar with. When they talk in Europe, these are the people that they brought across. So, but Hawkins, they heavily influenced my listening to choirs heavily, because of the music that they were coming out with was ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
And just want to refer back to your events as well. Now, ironically, guys, one of the shows that we did, but actually the one that you see on YouTube that we covered. So I'm getting educated as legendary Clive Palmer's introducing the songs. So then he introduced this artist called Danny Bell. I was like, who on earth is Danny Bell? Now I was like, the guys, I'm not saying I know music, and it was almost embarrassed me, because by the time I looked at her collection, I thought, shame, she used to sing with Crouch, she's there. Correct. And she's on a live album in Sweden, you know what I mean, and all these crazy, and so I'm going, my goodness sake, yo. And this is what I love about GRP. Even for somebody who I would say I was a baby in the scene, as these guys were phenomenal, and I think I know all about that music. It's again me coming to the rehearsal that you had, bro, the other day. I just looked again at the Hawkins collection, and then I'm hearing some of the Winan stuff in some of the Hawkins stuff. There's a couple of songs where Winans kind of flipped it up, and I thought, yo, Hawkins were doing this before, you know what I mean? And it's like, you know, and looking at the influence, and the Hawkins isn't just Walter Hawkins, it's Edwin Hawkins. You know what I'm saying? Right. You got to look at Hawkins and Family. Hawkins actually got a Christmas album out. I think Walter Hawkins has a Christmas album out that's available. So when you look at their collection, they have got a wide, deep collection of music. Love Alive, I think there's Love Alive 1, there's Love Alive 2, and Love Alive 3 or something like that.
Yeah, I think it went up to about 5.
Jeez,
whoever's
got them 5 vinyls, yo, give me a call, brethren. You know the one.
And you got to realize, and this is what one of the driving forces of this Sing for Your Soul gospel choir project is, the nostalgia, and also when you're in that community setting. Excuse me.
No.
And you're singing those songs. You mentioned earlier about how difficult it could be for a choir leader to control or contain 400 people. You got to remember, those 400 or 30 or 50, whatever the number of the choir is, they want to be there is one. And 2, they want to sing. 2. Third thing is they're all in different sections. 3. And the next thing is they also appreciate the social element and the community element that choir. That's saying, because if you know such and such a person's going to be there, you're going.
Yeah.
You know, if you have a long day at work and you're tired, you're going to go because you're going to see such and such. And that's the community element of the choir that I think has had an impact on us, because, you know, that was one thing that used to keep young people together. I can only speak of my experience.
Yeah.
As a growing up, I used to love, I think it was the first Friday of every month. My brother used to play for mass choir, and we would go, and I would just sit upstairs and just watch the musicians play. And I weren't in the choir, but the energy that was in that room, it was like, my God, you used to feel safe.
Yeah.
And thank God, from some of the rehearsals that we've been having, I've been experiencing that same feeling.
Yeah.
You know, we've had quite a few rehearsals, but the latter rehearsals, you know, people are chatting. They don't want to go home.
Bro, listen, man. I know.
You know.
I listen, guys. The vibe, and I'm talking about first-hand experience, man. I went to the first kind of like I've been to the rehearsals, and sort of vocal rehearsals. Going, oh, this is cute. This is sounding good. And yo, guys, and you know, and I'm going to the musicians rehearsals, and my head's like, oh, yo, texting my brethren, yo, you better own it. Now I'm a musician, so I'm gonna be like going, yo, you better reach. You know what I'm saying? And then when I saw the two combined, now usually the combinations, usually the MD and the choir director usually arguing for it. I've seen them ones. It's debated, but I'm just seeing. I'm going, this is crazy. And I had to go to Ray. I says, listen, I've seen you do stuff with strings and with trumpets. Please tell me you're actually gonna do that on top. That's crazy. And he goes, yeah, he's gonna do brass. I'm going, oh my goodness, guys, you gotta be a night where you've got like the band now, and you got brass, and then you got a choir. Now, something that we don't recognize is the choir is a band. And when people ask me about the size of the band, I say when I went to rehearsal, I purposely counted. Rehearsal's always less than the full amount, yeah? And I purposely counted, and there's over 50 vocalists in the space. So I'm going, this is messy. This is a 50-piece plus band. You know what I'm saying? But then when you look at the band man, you're looking at the band guys, and you're gonna drop the brass on top of that. I'm going, hold on a second. That is an amazing piece it's just amazing to me. It's just like, yo, this is gonna be, and it's not no easy, bro. And I want to salute you on this, because to do that and then to be opening up sheet music and following instructions, I can see people want to do the usual, you know that one there, right? Like that. No, there's none of that going on. You know? That discipline, man.
You know what was quite useful for that was that you mentioned about the horns and the section. I one thing about GRPs, I love sounds. You know, we it's not always possible to have percussion players. It's not always possible to have horn players. It's just not possible. But at the moment, I have the opportunity to utilize those instruments. And there's nothing better as a drummer, and I'm sure my drumming colleagues out there, when you've got a live percussionist playing alongside you, there is absolutely no feeling like it. Yeah. When you've got live horns, and I'm not talking someone playing brass on keys, I'm talking about live horns, there's nothing like it. No disrespect to second keyboard players. That's not what this conversation is about. I'm just talking about having accessibility to these voices. And when you can have those, when you can have access to those, my aim is to use it to promote and play some wonderful gospel music with those voices. You know, I have a wonderful friend, colleague by the name of Jonathan Silk, which you know. We have we've worked together in education, percussion tutors, and he brings his flavor of composition and jazz elements. I bring my flavor of the R&B, the gospel, the experience, all of that. And that's where we come together as a team on my project. And he's a wonderful guy to work with, but he gets it. He understands my dream, my vision. He gets it. Not just him, it's all the vocalists. They get it. It's the band members that are involved in GRP. They get it.
100%,
the guy that's interviewing me now, he gets it. So I think once you've got that recipe, you know, and the reasons for why we're doing it, you know, just say no more.
Oh no, it's 100% blessed, and I think, you know, guys, and I think there's something you mentioned about jazz and gospel, and I think that this is something that which I love you utilized. You've got people that love the form of jazz music, and they've just slotted straight into gospel like it's nothing. Now, explain to the musical layman like myself, if I looked at chord, I'm playing a gospel track, is gospel exactly the same as jazz, or is what allows jazz and gospel to just to fit like what allows jazz musicians to be comfortable in that spaces? Because we keep saying it, but technically, you know what I mean, it's like, is it just the same thing but different lyrics, or is it a bit more deeper than that?
An educated
guess. A crazy question.
I didn't study jazz, but the similarities, or one similarity I do know they share, is about improvisation and freedom to express themselves with the music. That's a definite with jazz. That's a definite with gospel. You know, there are elements, and we work to structure. And in a lot of musics, there's structure, but there is room for embellishment and improvisation and freedom to express yourself on the instrument within the context of jazz and within the context of gospel. So and it's also having that freedom to have a frank conversation within the music. You know, the guitar, I've got Pete Harris on guitar. Say no more.
Serious dude.
He knows how I feel about him. That's why he's on the gig. And he knows how to. Well, I keep saying it. He gets it. He gets it. And Ian on bass, he gets it. Tom Chapman, Andy Bunting on keys. You know, these are guys that they get it, and they have studied their instruments at a degree or higher level. And when they come to GRP and play, they bring their best. You know, they don't, and I'm not talking about their showboating. I'm talking about they will listen to something, and if it's not harmonically correct, they'll challenge it. And they'll say, you know, I don't know about that, or am I playing this right? Or you'll say to me, Ray, can you try this groove over that? You know, because they get it. They're very much involved in the process, and they want the music to sound.
I like that.
You know, so and I'm very humbled by that, and that's sometimes I always used to hear my mom, if you could see my heart, you know, these people, they turn up, man. I don't mean physically, the whole holistically, they turn up, and they experience through the music. You know what I mean? That's
really good to know, because like for me it's important that, you know, sometimes people think that as from a musical director or event organizer or perspective, it's a dictatorship when it comes to your creatives. And I always say you know, to get the best out of people, you know, you want the best people, but you don't want the best people being dictated to. You want the best people having that two-way relationship out there. And I think sometimes, you know, there's these great stories of wicked choir masters that get the best out of people, but sometimes it's about being straight and with a smile and to have a relationship going on to get the most out of people in our universe. Now, one thing that's really beautiful about this is that gospel sometimes gets seen as a one color kind of approach, but we have noticed over the past decade or so that people have basically stepped into the space of gospel, which don't have a skin tone or culture traditionally, which is not a thing which I'm not got no issues with. I think it's absolutely fantastic, and I really do felt like when we saw I don't want to use the word demise, but the shrinking of the choirs that we saw growing up in the 80s and 90s, because we had some great choirs in the Midlands. You mentioned a few yourself. You got Highgate Gospel Choir, you got all these choirs that kind of went downhill, and we probably just had our local choirs in the 2000s. We didn't realize the commodity that we had from an Afro-Caribbean church perspective. Now, myself and Ray are both based in the Midlands and known that a lot of the creatives from the choirs in the 80s and 90s has impacted UK and world music, full stop. You know what I mean? That were developed in this space. And I hope that just this project, I've invited my mum. Guys, shout out to my mum and dad. Because I said to my sister, I had to do the text to my sister. Yo, bring mum and dad. My mum confirmed. Yeah, I'll see you on Friday, Roger. And I was like, Mum, I'll see you there. She knows I'm working and whatever. They're still on stage and stuff. But I think it's one thing my dad did say. He was shocked to see the mix of people in the space that was enjoying every single note. And sometimes we have been so shouted in the mind thinking that this only we like this sound, only we understand it. But the wider people understand the power of a gospel choir. Yeah. And the gospel choir, and I think what I love with what yourself doing and a few others that are doing. And there's some great leaders in choirs out there, but what yourself is doing, which is a bit different to everybody else, because I do see a lot of choir conductors doing choirs, but you've come from a musician's perspective and brought the people together. You've assembled the Avengers. Trust me, guys, he's assembled the Avenger. He might get a bill out of head office, the one there. I was like, where's my tax? The one to, he was like, he's literally, nut the doors and said, yo, remember that suit, the choir suit from 20 years ago? Put it back on, the one there. You've brought it back out. And I have to say that, you said sing for your soul. Yeah. And people's soul in our community has been, and I have to say the crazy word, but since the pandemic, they call these fancy words, but since that, our souls have been crushed.
Well, if I can interject.
Yeah, no, go.
That working title was suggested by a colleague of mine, Tony Greer, and we would meet regularly trying to go for funding. She helps me with my admin support and so on, and we was talking about this project because this project's been in the making for 2 years.
Yeah.
Just after COVID, it was alongside the Heritage of Women project that we did. But we were talking. She says, "Oh, Ray, sing for your soul," and I went, "Yes,
yeah.
Sing for your soul." Because when I was sharing the vision of the project and trying to connect with some of my generation who had stopped singing, and it was apparent that really resonated. Sing for your soul. It's your soul you're singing for. And so credit to Tony Gray, and she kind of gave that name, and it just stuck. But it is, you alluded earlier, there are many people from different cultural backgrounds now that appreciate gospel choirs. I mean, choirs as a whole is something that is a social commodity. It's good for the community. It's good for your well-being. When you start putting gospel or attach gospel to it, it takes it to another level, because we know how gospel music can engage from a different level. But you can't excuse the fact when you're all in the one room and you sing certain songs, what that does. There is no word. I remember, like you said, you came to a few rehearsals. We did vocal rehearsals. We started in April.
Yeah.
And then we only did band rehearsals last month. But when you bring those entities together, right, it's like when you it can only feel like when Theo mics me up and we go on stage and, and we trigger the GRP theme, and I sit down on my kit and I play the bass drum and I feel it in my chest. I go,
yeah.
You know, it's it.
Yeah.
You know, when all the people sang the first note, the band was in and the horns was in. That synergy was just amazing.
Yeah, man,
and it was amazing to feel the vision starting to come to play. Of course, you're going to make mistakes. Of course, this is going to happen. But it's the motive that we're doing it with. You know, for me, I'm going to say, I don't really say, but I'm really excited. One, to play with the guys.
Yeah.
Two, to hear these wonderful songs. And three, the audiences that are coming in can relate. Some can relate, some can't.
Yeah.
But they're all gonna, and I hope they all go away with something
connected.
That's my goal, man. That's my aim.
I know, 100%. And just in case people, you'll see me on the stage. I'll be trying to fit into the I think it's the outer section, the nearest one to me. So I'll be there working it with the outer section. You know, the one there still. But now, I really, I will say to a lot of people who are not in our spaces, church spaces like we were when we were younger, I will encourage you guys to come out or to support or even to watch the videos back as well, because sometimes, you know, we get bitter about our children and upbringing, and we get bitter about, you know, church elements of church, and being honest about that, you know. But when sometimes you listen to these songs, it allows me to connect to the positivity of church and gospel music and my upbringing, and it connects me to, you know what, if we had only capitalized on our skill base, if we only capitalized on what we had, where would we be right now? The power of gospel music, the power of the choir. And I believe that alongside of Ray and a number of others, you know, ironically, you're from the branch of different types of Church of Gods. It must be a Church of God thing. You guys just, you know what I mean, getting Sorry Apostolic Crew, you know what I mean. So big up to my boy Ian, shout out, you know what I mean. But to be an independent like myself, who's not from married into prophecy, but Church of God, whether it's New Testament Church of God, whether it's Church of God itself, the few guys are lighting up, the likes of yourself, you know what I'm saying? There's, you know, the likes of Karen, you know, you guys got stories that go back many years, and it's amazing to see you guys are coming through right now from a UK perspective, but specifically for me, I'm passionate about my Birmingham, and really seeing what you're doing with Birmingham, because working in the scene for so long, and being dominated by our Southerners, and the Southerners know that, you know, I support Man United. I'm from Birmingham, and I don't really business. It's all about business in South, but they know that I got that affinity there when it comes to London, you know, and that kind of like cockiness when I'm trying to show them where my roots are, my proud roots, and I really do feel that with Gospel Revisited, it helps me translate the heritage of Birmingham gospel. That's what Gospel Revisited helped me. It helped me say, hey, this is us, this is me, you know what I'm saying, you know. And so often I've been in a world where, in the urban gospel world, where I'm known as a rap guy because of my age group, but I wasn't, and it's frustrating because my heritage is Hawkins and Andre Crouch. I know the lyrics. Just to interject there, the two things you mentioned there. First thing, just with the last comment you mentioned about, you know, the urban, you're an urban man, but you know all the songs. You know, you came to a few of the rehearsals. He says, "Oh my gosh, I remember that." Yeah. And you know, it's so important. This is our story. I constantly keep telling and saying to those involved in this particular project is that we have the opportunity now to sing and enjoy ourselves. It will be filmed, it will be documented there forever. We didn't have this opportunity 20 and 30 years ago. One, because we didn't have the technology. And two, a lot of people left church and just weren't interested.
So, but with that community, that certain age group have a sound. UK gospel has a sound that it's very important that we try and encapsulate it as much as possible, because the youngers, they've got their sound, and they do have a good sound, but it's not our sound. And so it's very important that anybody that's been born, they can recognize, was it the millenniums? Is that what they're called?
Yeah. Some
generation.
Z generation, whatever they do. Just generation Z and all. I'm confused by it, man. Yeah,
but they got a sound, and it's a UK sound. But us guys, post Windrush, we've also got a sound, and it's important that we document as much as that as possible, because we're all going.
Cool. Yeah. But we got That's a fact. That's a great point. We're not gonna dig out at the auto tuning that they do these days. We're not gonna dig them out for the one harmonies that they do these days. We're not saying it's you know what I'm saying. But we would. But one thing I would say is that my wife always said that it must have been a different set of African slaves that went to America because they can sing. She doesn't understand why they can sing, but I get it, because they have maintained, as much as numbers have gone down there, they have maintained this breeding ground of the choir, which has been integral to great singers within our world of black music. Yeah,
correct.
And I remember when I was a teenager, and my wife was rehearsing. I'm a teenager. I probably just about turned 20, and we went to, remember Rabana's rehearsal studio. Yeah. So Rabana's, we went there, and the guy there said to me, "Yo, I need some gospel vocalists for my tracks." They know what they need from us, because they know they can blow. You know what I'm saying? And what allowed them to blow was, like you said, the skill of improvisation that was choirs gave, just the ability just to deliver on the spot. You know what I mean? This is what choirs build up character. You know what I'm saying? And we can go on about this, you know what I'm saying? And the character, the community, the ability to publicly speak and announce. We're not afraid. That's why we got so many great salesmen came out of our community, because they were born evangelists, you know what I mean? And they could wing it from the top of their head, you know. And I think that the choir, the space, I've seen choir directors pick out people, you can sing the solo, and they stand up. I've seen people they've got one take. There's no re-record. It's one take to do, so many things.
To add to that, which is so important, Roger, it's the well-being aspects. I know this word is branded around so many times, but we didn't know about well-being 30, 40 years ago.
5 years ago. Yeah.
You didn't know about that, but I do know. I know choir rehearsals and youth clubs and those things were a form of escapism for a lot of people growing up in that generation. But it was a safe space.
Yeah.
That their parents knew that, such and such has gone to youth club, it's at church, or they've gone to choir practice. So they didn't have, but that person that was attending that event found that as a safe space and being around their community. So we cannot underplay the importance of choirs. Can't underplay it. It ticks so many boxes.
No, 100%.
Ticks so many boxes.
No,
but
yeah. But no, definitely. So let's get to the events, because we can talk about the power of choirs for the next 2 years and still carry on because guys, it's an amazing thing which GRP is doing, and I must say this is definitely a new chapter for GRP, and I'll say that, you know what I'm saying, in terms of going with the choir, and literally it is the Avengers, because I recognize about 4 or 5 choir combo. You know, the one there say, take the best 5 from there, I take the best 5 from there. We teach the best, you know what I'm saying? You always got the hit list, man, you know what I'm saying? And it's balanced out the powers, so they got postcodes that spread across the whole of Birmingham and outside the East Midlands as well. That's another thing. You've got people coming from not only the Midlands, but also outside of the Midlands as well. You know what I'm saying? What's the Midlands, but West Midlands, you know? So we got, which was, end of the day, guys, that was a circuit. Birmingham, Coventry, Leicester, Derby, Burton, you know what I mean? You had all, you know what I'm saying? You know, Derby, all these areas was part of the circuit, and we even ended up in Sheffield. You know, we know Uncle Louis, he ended up in Sheffield, innit? So, you know, you know, and there's, you know what I mean? Sorry, guys, you know, hopefully Louis get that joke.
Well, the reason why you ended up in Sheffield because they're in the choir as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, true. That's true, man. Yo, it shows you how did we get around with them Cortinas back in the day, and then transit vans we don't know. You know what I'm saying? They were government. I drove to London the other day, bro, and I'm thinking, nice, you know, these modern cars. You're thinking, how did we do it in the old cars?
4 gears.
We said 4 gears, bro. It's literally you have to. Guys, it's like turbulence, like
that's right.
You know, you go in the motorway, you know,
and then the 5th gear came in.
Yo, I mean that cut down the petrol cost. I'll tell you that straight.
Yeah.
You know, and the air. Sorry, guys, we're gonna do a little funny one. Anybody who's driven between the M42, there's a part of the M42. It's slightly downhill, and you're thinking, yes, I can get to 90 that way. You got things like that. You got your parts where you can go fast and slow. So that's the joys of getting round back in the 80s and 90s in the cars in the early 2000s back in the day. So that's all the joy. That's the community, talking to people on the journey. Your whole Saturdays round these beautiful people, and that's what we're gonna be having. So you got the Sing for Your Soul Gospel Choir event hosted by Gospel Revisited. That's going to be at the amazing Alga Concert Hall, Bramwell, which is going to be at Birmingham. Is it University of Birmingham? University of Birmingham. And guys, you know, do just Google search that. You'll find that straight away. Concert tickets are going to be maximum £22.50, but it can be as low as £5. You know, if you got your children, don't feel no way. People, bring your children to the show. They will. They'll be like, Mom, why can't church? I'll come to church every Sunday if it was something like this. You know what I mean? You wouldn't have to fight me. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm seeing young men at the back, man. Look for it and just go, yo, this is a groove, man. You know what I'm saying? So, guys, please bring the family out to the show. Don't exclude. But what's amazing, you've got different choir conductors getting involved. You got obviously the Ray with Silky directing, and just the University of Birmingham has been a beautiful host for this space and for what's going on. So shout out to University of Birmingham for being to agree, because it's very hard, guys, to go. You think it's easy to knock these doors, Ray? You know, just to want to emphasize to people, you know, when they see, like, say, yourself, myself, walk into certain rooms, they must think the door open up today. You know what I mean? And it opens up. It's years of working up the not only courage, but just for the answer to come back to go, okay, yes, you know what I mean? We tick the box now. You know, it takes a lot. And I think as a community, if you're listening to this video as a community, as part of the gospel community, where it's past or present, we've got to support these shows, because as much as you see it going, ooh, they're too nice for me now, so I'm not going to come over to the show. They must be rich, Ray. No, guys, this is the biggest problem in Achilles heel, and you're on the Edge show now, so I'm going to keep it 100. We need to support. You know what I'm saying?
And just to interject there, I work in partnership as a part of the Culture Forward program. They support me. Mm-hmm. However, one of my aims is also to access these spaces. Mm-hmm. You know, why do we always have to have gospel events in churches? Mm-hmm. Surely not. There's some beautiful, iconic venues in Birmingham that our people need to frequent and to feel that they can go there, as well as anybody else, and to enjoy the fruit of our parents' labour. You know, many of our parents who came here in the 50s worked so that Birmingham could be a beautiful place to live. Only did they do that. There's some also beautiful buildings that they never accessed because it wasn't accessible. So if these venues are now becoming accessible, let's go. Let's enjoy them, just like everybody else. Let's enjoy them and have a night out. Let's dress up. You know, if you don't want to dress up, that's equally okay. But you know, make a night of it. Go and have something to eat, and then come to the event. You know, enjoy the space as well as everybody else. Yeah, but it's true. You know, we all need the support. We're supposed to support. Common support.
Yeah, man,
you know,
most definite. And you did say about dress up. Do you want us to, you know me, how you want people to do trainers, Jordans and more business and jeans?
Just come you come as you are. Come what you want to come.
Yeah. Cool.
Come in and it makes you comfortable. You know.
Don't embarrass yourself, people. You know what I mean? But we call it posh formal these days, you know, the one that's still so it's getting crazy. But no, 100%, bro. And I think that, you know, we just want to encourage, you know, GRP, keep it going. You guys, you will see footage out there. We're gonna be working hard on a lot of footage with GRP, so watch this space. You know what I'm saying? In my life, you know, he's gonna be sweating coming end of January still, guys, because he's got deadlines to lick, you know, because we got some amazing footage. It's not just to show off what Ray and the GRP crew has done, but it's actually to show our heritage, to actually put markers on online platforms. It's to have amazing copies archived, you know what I'm saying, to show evidence of our greatness. And what I love is that when you see the surnames of the people on stage and you realize that's my cousin, that's my great uncle, you know what I'm saying, that's my great auntie. I never knew she could sing. You know what I mean? You know, I never knew she was involved in the gospel music scene. You know, there's an amazing interview that we was part of, and I know I'm dragging this out, but you know, of Monica Anderson. Now I've known her as a great pastor's wife, a strong woman's leader, and an inspiring talker. I never even knew she was involved in the gospel scene until the interview that we did with her, and I didn't realize she was integral in terms of starting up, and her mum was integral in the gospel scene in its startup phase, part of the Windrush generation. And I'm going, we have gold blocks around us, and we've got to show love and shine them up. You shine them up right now. But listen.
Yes, Roger.
Yeah, so there's me. I did one way. It's not a 10-minute interview, so it took up it took up all his time now. So you know, this is how we do on the Edge Show. This is Roger here on Affinity Xtra alongside Ray Brins from the Gospel Revisited project, and we're gonna get ready for the event. But also, guys, visit their website. I'll put links in there so go to their YouTube, enjoy past performances on their YouTube channel, you know what I'm saying, and also do email them, send them, join the mailing list, follow them on Instagram, do all this because there's updates coming. And people that are out there, we need your support. You know what I'm saying? Whether you think you can just come and buy a ticket, whether you're in a corporation, the gospel music needs your support. And it's a serious talk. You know what I'm saying? You know, because if we can't support ourselves, we can't be always going out there. We need to support. We need to get this right community. You know what I'm saying? So it's a beat up thing, guys, because I know what it takes. You know what I'm saying? And we've got great things happening, man. So big up to Ray and big up to the Crew Nation. Or the Crew Nation, I would name all your names, but I would need another half an hour to do that part. Anyway, so everybody in the choir, crew, band, jumping crew, brass section, you'll see me. I will make sure I get my clothes right. I think it's black. You know the choir clothes there. You know, it's gonna be black. So I'll make sure I wear my black clothes. You know what I'm saying? You'll see me on stage, guys, and I'll be flexing the outer section. I talk to Auntie Claudia and say, "Yo, Claudia, you have to work on my outer section still. You know, the one that's still, you know, because you know the mother man's outer these days. You know what I mean? And the mother woman's tenor, you know, the one there. So I get myself in trouble with that one. But listen, this is Roger, Affinity Xtra, celebrating gospel music of Black origin on the Edge, man. Love, Ray.
Thanks, man.
Hey, this is your bishop. This is your bishop from Rock Solid. Thank you so much for watching us on YouTube. Thank you so much for clicking and subscribing, and also sending these videos to other people as well. We are so hungry to get your support. So remember, check us out on our website, and also check us out on Insta, and wherever you want to find us on Spotify. You can play us all day as well. And just make sure that you are supporting this channel, that we are developing our agenda towards music of Black origin, and that is gospel music with a message. So please, 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 please walk with us on this journey. Bye now.